Hey everyone, welcome back to Bakekat Kitchen. Today we're diving into a recipe that's completely new to me, sourdough banana bread. Looks amazing, but it's also a little reminder to me of finding happiness in the small things. Whether it's the comforting smell of bare bread baking in the oven or the satisfaction of creating something completely new from scratch, these moments can bring us so much joy and I love them. Happiness comes in many forms. Whether you're talking about the kind of happiness we feel when we indulge in a warm slice of bread, what psychologists like to call hedonic happiness. That's the pleasure we get from life's simple sensory experiences. But there's also a deeper sense of fulfillment, or eudaimonic happiness, that comes from engaging in activities that bring us purpose and meaning. For me, baking is a way to tap into both. It's not just about the final product, although who can honestly resist a warm slice of banana bread? It's also about the process, measuring, mixing, watching something beautiful come to life. It's about the calm that it brings and the joy of sharing it with others, which is one of my favourite things. Especially on those tougher days, these small mindful tasks can be a gentle reminder that happiness is often found in the journey, not just the destination. So today, as we bake together, hopefully, I hope you find a little slice of happiness in this recipe. Whether it's through baking, gardening, or any small hobby that lights you up, these moments can be a powerful way to connect ourselves and find joy in our everyday lives. All right, let's get started. We'll walk through each step so you can make this delicious sourdough banana bread right at home as well. Remember, it's not just about the perfect loaf. This is the first time I'm making it, so even I don't know what's going to come out of the oven. It's about enjoying the process along the way. Let's get into it. Okay, we have all our ingredients together here, because as you've probably worked out, I do like to be prepared. I'm going to go through them all for you so you can see what is going to go into this beautiful sourdough banana bread. First of all, we've got 2 large eggs, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 3 tablespoons or 45 grams of sour cream. I'm using a plant-based sour cream. I'll drop a link below for you so you know which one I'm using. The recipe doesn't actually call for cinnamon, but I think banana bread should always have cinnamon in it. So a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, half a cup of chopped walnuts, 3 mashed overripe bananas, about 350 grams you need of the bananas, 200 grams of sugar. The recipe said to use brown sugar. I've done a mix of 160 grams of light brown sugar and 40 grams of that unrefined coconut sugar. Now, if you've watched my gluten-free chocolate chip cookies video, you'll know I love using that unrefined coconut sugar because it gives such a rich caramelly taste to anything you make with it. So I love to sub a bit of that in where a recipe calls for brown sugar. 200 grams of plain flour with 2 teaspoons of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of just fine sea salt. 113 grams of butter. I use salted butter. I don't ever really notice much difference between salted and unsalted, but you do you know how it goes. And most importantly, for a sourdough banana bread, my sourdough starter discard. I'm using 125 grams of that and it's straight from the fridge. So let's go. I'm just going to whisk up those eggs and the vanilla together before I start this mixing process. It doesn't specifically say to do that, but I like to get those eggs blended. I'm going to use a spatula for this because once we get to the dry ingredients, we are going to want to do it quite gently, mix these things in quite gently. So first of all, we're going to take our sugar mix. I've put the cinnamon in this as well, and we're going to mix this into the melted butter. Till it's nice and smooth. I mixed up that brown sugar because it did have a few lumps in it, so I just like to mix it up so it gets a little less giant chunks of solid brown sugar. And into that we're going to mix the eggs, the sour cream and the sourdough starter, along with the mashed bananas. Sour cream. This, along with the sourdough starter, I think is going to give this a really nice tang. I haven't made this recipe before, so we're all on an adventure today to see if it works. In goes the sourdough starter. And the eggs. And vanilla. And our mashed bananas. Mine probably could have been a little more ripe than what they were, but they mashed up pretty well, so I'm pretty happy with it. Well, that looks pretty smooth. I think it's the sour cream that's not breaking down quite as much. But I think that's going to bake out really nicely. Next, we're going to fold the mixture of flour, baking powder, baking soda, and salt into this wet mix. The recipe says to do it quite gently, so I'm going to take it easy. I suspect I don't want to overwork the gluten and make it too dense, so I'm assuming that's why it says to do it gently. Wow, this smells amazing. I can already see that baking soda and baking powder starting to activate in there and creating little bubbles in the dough, or the batter, I guess you'd call this. Make sure you incorporate everything off the sides, and that you have no dry, floury bits throughout it. I spent the weekend, one of my jobs on the weekend, I was putting a new awning on our gazebo in the backyard. And it's only now that I'm stirring this batter that I realise how sore my shoulders are from that little adventure. But there is a new awning on the gazebo, ready for summer. Okay, all that flour is incorporated in now. Now I'm just going to gently fold these walnuts in, these chopped walnuts. If you don't like walnuts, you don't have to put them in. They are only a suggested inclusion. You can use pecans. I like to use roasted almonds sometimes as well, or slivered almonds. But just recently I've been on a real scene for walnuts. And they're super good for you as well. So if you like them, pop them in here. So I feel like that's all incorporated really well now. I've lightly greased a 9-inch by 5-inch loaf pan. I just got this at Woolworths, I think, just with butter, so that my banana bread fingers crossed, will come nice and easily out of the pan. I preheated the oven to 170 degrees Celsius, and it's going to go in there for approximately 50 to 60 minutes. But I will keep an eye on it because the temperature gauge on my oven can be a little random. So I like to keep an eye on things to make sure I'm not overcooking them. Basically, you're just going to cook it until a skewer inserted in the middle comes out clean. Smooth it down so it's nice and even. You could really put anything in this, some chocolate chips. I'm just thinking now, wouldn't that have been great? Some chocolate chips, any kind of nuts that you might like, maybe even some coconut, desiccated coconut. As I've mentioned before, I just love to experiment with things, and I'm not afraid of failing, although it's not my favourite thing in the world. But I love to experiment with different flavours and things that I think might taste nice in a recipe. Okay, now that's going to go in the oven, like I said, for 50 to 60 minutes, and we'll see how it goes. It's been in for about 60 minutes now. And I'm just using a toothpick to see if it's set in the center. Wow, that looks amazing. So we're just going to leave it in the pan for about 15 minutes before we turn it out onto a wire rack and let it cool for about an hour. Okay, so about 15 minutes has passed. Pan itself is a bit cooler. So let's see if she comes out of the pan nicely. Fingers crossed. Oh yeah. Well, I'm pretty happy with that. And just like that, we've made a delicious, comforting loaf of sourdough banana bread. I hope this recipe brings some warmth and joy into your kitchen. It's amazing how something as simple as baking can remind us of the beauty in the everyday moments, the satisfaction of creating, the joy of sharing, and the comfort of being present. Whether it's baking, cooking, gardening, or pursuing any small passion, these activities can offer a space to pause and connect with what truly matters. They remind us that happiness isn't just about big achievements, it's about savouring the journey, finding pleasure in the present, and nurturing ourselves through meaningful actions. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope you feel inspired to try this recipe and discover a bit of joy in the process. I'll pin the original recipe below, but experiment as you like. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share it with somebody who might need a little lift in their day. Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and remember the joy is often found in the little things. Have a wonderful day. Be kind to yourself and everyone around you, and I'll see you next time.